But that's why I showed that with Malcolm Jamal. He was Theo. And when you understand Theo, like I explained on the last video when I broke this down, when you understand Theo, you know, Theo was just Perseus in the Greek mythologies. And remember, he's the one who beheads the Minotaur, which just represents Moloch, or represents Lucifer. So Theo is just representing the son of God, you know, bringing down Lucifer. You know, that's why in Ezekiel, not Ezekiel, but that's why in the book of Exodus, you know, it's very important to understand. You know, as it's written in Exodus, those who come out the matrix are my own. You know, so it's very important to understand all of this. You know, Exodus 34:19, those who come out the matrix are my own. So that all goes into that whole theme of that Minotaur being beheaded by the Perseus, which is just Theo. You know, that's why you had to be Bill Cosby's son, because in Exodus 3:14, you know, as it's written, you know, I am that I am. So that goes into the will of I am, which goes to the will of God. That's why Bill is short for William. You know, that's why Babylon got it set up where you got to pay the bills. You know, you got to work in the Babylonian system to pay your bills. That's how they got it set up, you know, to blaspheme the name. You kind of see what I mean? So that's why he had to die by drowning. And remember, he was with the little girl. Remember, he was with his daughter, they say. And then that's why way back, I think it's like 92, right here, 91, 92, they showing him with the little girl Dan at the beach, because they already knew how he was going to be taken out. You know, they just already got it set. The devil already knows anyway, you know. Same with the Snowfall actor, the guy who was on Snowfall, you know, the so-called Jewish who was on Snowfall. Remember, they said he drowned as well. You know, they said he drowned. That was the same week, like time frame, like a few days later. He had to drown too. So all that drowning, because they already know as it's written, the Lord is the man out to sea. He's being revealed. He's the living waters. So what they want to do is they want him to get caught back up. You know, they don't want him to be revealed. They want him to be hidden in that water. You know, don't let him be revealed. You know, it's very important to understand all of these things. So I want to get deeper into all of this, because it's all about who got the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Let's delve deeper into this. All right, so this right here, that's why he had to be with Raven Simone. Remember on Bill Cosby, Raven Simone was the little sister. So, you know, that Raven is very important, because, you know, that Raven, you know, it goes into that whole, remember she became that so Raven, where she could see the future. Remember down the line, when she grew up, she became that so Raven. So let's delve into this right quick, because it's all about who got the eyes to see and ears to hear. I'm going to break this down on y'all. All right, so she had to become that so Raven, because, you know, that whole thing where she can see the future when she grew up, because, you know, that goes back into what? You know, the Acts 2, chapter 2, you know, in 17, when it speaks about us being able to receive the Spirit of God to be able to prophesy. So, you know, she was with Bill and Theo. So, you know, Raven is very important, because it goes into that whole thing. And that's why later on down the line, you know, she becomes the one who can see the future, because it connects to how we had the Spirit to prophesy. You kind of see what I mean? So when you go into Genesis 8, remember when Noah was on the ark, you remember he said he sent forth a dove from him to see if the waters were abated from off the face of the ground. But the dove found no rest for the sole of her foot, and she returned unto him into the ark, for the waters were on the face of the whole earth. Then he put forth his hand and took her and pulled her into the ark, and pulled her in unto him into the ark. And he stayed yet other 7 days, and again he sent forth the dove out of the ark. So remember when Noah, he sent forth the raven first, because it represents how Christ will, you know, how he would, it represents the first and second coming. So, you know, it represents the whole theme of the first and second coming. So that foreseeing of how the whole theme, how the kingdom would fulfill. So remember when Noah's on the ark, he released the raven, and then the second time the raven came back, you know, he didn't come